On live, man. On live. Well. Good afternoon, everyone. Once again, this is Craig, your recovery coach here at Capital Recovery Center. And today we're going to be talking about something very important. But once again, I'm Craig. I'm glad to be here with you. I'm going to share an article, and I thought it was very important. I believe it's very important to what we are those who are in recovery, and that is what to do with uncomfortable feelings. And that is, we talk about so many times about the substance use itself, whether it be alcohol or drugs or what have you. And we never, not, I think a lot of times we overlook the emotional aspect of why people either relapse or use drugs. And there's many factors, but today we want to talk about the uncomfortable feelings that people oftentimes use drugs or neglect to have the coping skills to deal with a common or a given situation. And so this article is going to share light. It's not going to be a long session, but it's going to be informative. And this article is brought to you by RationaleRecovery.com. Once again, this article is brought to you by RationaleRecovery.com. And so also, I'm just going to be reading this article. I'm going to be sharing my views. It's not an expert opinion. I am a certified peer recovery. Let me explain to you what a certified peer recovery is all about. And so our objective is to help people gain their capital recovery. That is to empower people and encourage people to live a healthy lifestyle, and also to help them navigate through any obstacles that they may face once they come from residential treatment or detox, or if they're dealing with IOP. IOP stands for intensive outpatient, and so, or OP, outpatient, either or. And so I am not a counselor. I am not a therapist. I am not a doctor. I am just a recovery coach. And so with all of that said, let's talk about now. Let me warn you beforehand. You may see some young people, may see some people that may enter the group, maybe because they're running late, but however, the show must go on. All right. And so, what to do with uncomfortable feelings? All right. And so, I have this article here that I'm going to be reading and sharing. So those who may want to look it up on their own, they will know what it's all about. And it says, who wants to feel negative feelings of hurt, anger, pain, and fear? They're no fun. They make us uncomfortable. To many, it doesn't make sense to make room for these emotions. Why waste time with feeling hurt? So today we're going to be talking about mainly about emotions, how to deal with them, and how to better understand them and identify them, and to shed some light on some emotions. If I just keep focused on the bright side, it would all work out for the best. I've got better things to do than feel conflict or distress. While it seems to make sense to avoid and dismiss feelings that hurt, the truth is the route to healing and peace of mind is through walking towards those feelings rather than walking away. I think that's so profound. Walking towards those feelings and not to walk away, not to dismiss how one is feeling. So as the article talking about hurt, anger, pain, and fear. And so we don't want to walk away from that. We want to walk towards it and to be able to identify them and to address them accordingly from a healthy perspective, from a sober perspective. Much of my work involves, the article goes on to say, much of my work involves helping people do just that, walk toward their feelings, get connected to the deeper emotions that lay outside of their awareness. We all have protective strategies we employ to avoid feeling things that are uncomfortable or scary. Elements of denial, avoidance, minimizing, or misdirected anger can keep us away from the reality of the feelings that lie within, beyond our immediate recognition. For example, the article will give us an example. Consider the man who is frustrated because his wife isn't interested in him sexually anymore. After reflecting and exploration, he realized he feels insecure, right? He is afraid that his wife thinks less of him because he isn't more successful or hasn't made more money. Upon further exploration, he reveals childhood experiences that left him feeling that no matter what he does, it is never enough. As he digs deeper beyond the surface narrative that he had made up, he becomes aware of the very real fears and pain that are impacting him, right? And so this thing is go deeper than what the article is talking about a man and his relationship, him and his wife, and however, come to find out, that's only the surface of what the man is really experienced. There's some hidden underneath deeper pain or hurt from maybe from a childhood experience that the man has been holding on and just haven't really dealt with it per se. All right. And so the article says it is this discovery of the feelings that lie within that creates a pathway to acknowledge the experience and resolve the belief and feelings that we struggle with. This eventually frees us from the negative beliefs and feelings that are often driving unhealthy or unhelpful behaviors. Right? And so it says, recently a client of mine began this process of exploration. I gave her a homework assignment to write out her feelings about a specific issue that was of concern to her. As we worked together, it became apparent that she was struggling with deep pain from her childhood. You see, oftentimes, a lot of us that's dealing with alcohol addiction or substance use issues of addiction, we have what we call underlying issue, which is from the expert terminology, they call it post-traumatic stress syndrome, right? And so that PTS has an underlying condition that contribute to how we deal with a given situation if it's not addressed appropriately. And so the article, it reads, I'm gonna read it again. It says, recently a client of mine began this process of exploration. I gave her a homework assignment to write out her feelings about a specific issue that was of concern to her. As we worked together, it became apparent that she was struggling with deep pain from her childhood. I thought the writing exercise might help her get in touch with just what those feelings might be. When she returned the following week, she said, I tried to do the homework you gave me, but I couldn't do it for more than a few minutes. She explained she was beginning to feel some anger toward her mom and feeling this anger felt dangerous and bad. My client was sensing there was a lot of emotions in there, right?
Yeah.
So we're talking about emotional pain and hurt and fears that one may have experienced early on in life, and however, and as they began to develop as into adulthood, those childhood anger, pain, and fear was never addressed properly, and so oftentimes people mask those feelings with substance use, whether it be alcohol or drugs or some other type of adverse behavior. All right, and so she almost pleadingly said,
What's up?
all right, come on in. All right. So as I've made mention, so that's how, but then I want y'all on the camera. Okay, you good. All right, so we got a man here. He came in. His name is Wellington, and so today we're going to talk about what to do with uncomfortable feelings. And so basically, what I've been reading is talking about emotions. A lot of times when people who use substance abuse, whether it be alcohol or drugs, they may have what they call, the experts call PTSD, post-traumatic stress syndrome, right? Post-traumatic stress syndrome, that is an underlying hidden condition that someone probably never dealt with, as a childhood. So as they begin to develop, more often they would use either alcohol to try to mask the pain, the hurt, or the fear, because they don't have the coping skill. And so this article was talking about how one, like so the article, the part I just read, the paragraph, it was a counselor. I believe it was a counselor, and a person gave the person a homework assignment to talk about some of the feelings that she may have experienced. And so when the person returned back, they said, I couldn't complete the homework because it dealt with the pain and hurt and fear from her childhood, her and her mother experienced. So that's where we at right now. And so I'm right here where it says, she almost pleadingly said, I don't know what to do with the feelings, right? She was searching for some place to put the discomfort or some way to contain the feelings. And so the person or the I believe it's a counselor that doing the one-on-one assessment says, I explained to my client that searching for something to do with her feelings is not what she needs. Instead, she needs to let the feelings be. The only thing that must be done with feelings is to feel them, right? It says, in feeling them, they are allowed to be and move through you. And so early on, it was talking about when you feeling some type of way, say if I'm feeling angry or I'm feeling scared, some type of hurt, it says, don't ignore it, don't walk away from it, walk towards, acknowledge it, to identify, like a lot of times, say if a person who, in a relationship, I use this, in a relationship, him and the spouse or husband and wife. And so the husband had a argument with his wife. And so to avoid coming home to the same ordeal or argument, 9/10 of the time, if you don't have the proper communication coping skills, what one would do is don't come straight home. Like, man, I'm gonna go home to the same thing. You know what I mean? So person may work late, may work extra hours, or a person may instead of coming directly home, they might be in the car and say, man, you know what, I'm gonna take the long route home. You know what I mean? Because emotionally, I'm not prepared how to deal with what may, once I open the door, I might come into another argument. You know what I mean? And so a lot of times they said, don't walk away from it, confront it. So it's a lot of times. So we're talking about being uncomfortable, you know, in recovery. You know, a lot of times we may be afraid to go around certain people because of we may have a bad experience with them, and so to avoid get into something, you know, more confrontation, we may avoid it and say, man, I'm not even going around that person. Sometimes it's good, and then sometimes, you know, we have to learn how to communicate and say, you know what, why did you and I get into that argument? You know, I mean, what made us fall out?
9 times out of 10 is something petty.
Something petty.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so, and a lot of times, you know, something like you said, something petty, Wilson, and we magnify it and become something where it's, you know, if I don't have the proper coping skills, you may say something and hurt my feelings, and I'm like, you know what, man, you made me so mad, man. You know, to try to relieve the hurt and pain, I might go get a drink. Instead of coming to you and say, oh, brother, you know, what you said, I ain't really appreciate it. You hurt my feelings. But we as men, you know, we got this macho thing, you know. And I ain't telling him, man, you know, I look like telling that man, you know, you hurt my feelings. You know, oh, I felt some type of way. You might put it in that term, like you hurt my feelings. You might say, man, I felt some type of way, man. You know, right? And so as we have this bravado thing with us where we might say, you know, man, I felt some type of way, man, that you know, what you said, you know, I don't think that was cool, man. You know? But then, you know, at least you get it off your chest and you say, man, you know, I'm feeling, you know, you identify and say, man, I feel, you know, I feel some type of way. I got to get this. If I hold on to it, I might just go pick up again, especially if I'm in recovery. You know what I mean? But if I'm, you know, want to get it out and be a better communicative person, I might come to you and say, oh, you know, if I said something to offend you, I say, man, I apologize. You know, I ain't mean it like that, man. You know, accept my apology. You know, you might say, yeah, man, you know, that's something light, man, something. Yeah. You know, we men, you know, and then we move on. Then you ain't got to deal with the fear of picking up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
A lot of people do certain stuff when certain people are around. See, if you're talking private too, it might be in a different perspective.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
it's best to just speak on it.
That is so true, because our perspective, like how that person may perceive, you know, like, oh man, you gonna let them talk to you like that? Mm-hmm. But then it probably, if y'all was just on one-on-one, you probably won't even perceive it like that. Yeah. You probably say, man, you know, that what you said, man, even though it was something small, you know, I'm gonna brush my shoulders off, man, you know, but let's deal with each other more respectfully, you know. Yeah. You know what I mean? So let's go on, finish this article, because this is a very short article, because I figured that we just came back from Dr. Martin Luther King holiday, which was yesterday, and I want to, you know, commend Dr. Martin Luther King for all the greatness that he's done, and so we're going to continue on in our article. So what we're talking about, as you can see on the screen, say what to do with uncomfortable feelings. And so this is all it's our coffee and conversation hour, where we sit around and we talk about the aspect of recovery, from the mental aspect, from the physical aspect, from the psychological, and from the emotional aspect of it. Okay? And so the article says, I explained to my client that searching for something to do with her feeling is not what she needs. Instead, she needs to let the feelings be. The only thing that must be done with feelings is to feel them, right? And feeling them, they are allowed to be and move through you. So what does it mean to let the feelings be? Here are some ideas. Number one, it talks about identify and acknowledge the feelings. Let yourself know what it is you are feeling, all right? Emotions are felt in the body. The path to awareness is to tune into your body and notice what is happening in your physical self. Are your shoulders tight? Is your stomach swirling? Do you feel pressure in your chest? Let yourself become aware of the feelings in your body. As you become this, as you feel the sensation, acknowledge the feelings you know accompanies these sensations. Okay, just like someone, I might go up to a job interview and I might be nervous, you know what I mean? But if I don't verbalize and say, man, I'm feeling nervous, you know, I'm, I might let that just ruin my whole interview experience. Once I acknowledge that I'm feeling nervous, it gives me the more the confidence to know, say, okay, this is how I'm feeling, but that don't stifle me. That don't make me freeze. Whereas when I go in front of this interviewer, that I'm not prepared. So it's only putting me on alert and says, wow, you know. So it's like doing a self inventory. Why I'm feeling nervous for this interview? You know, did I do my homework? Did I do everything that I need to do to prepare myself? You know, and so that's what as far as recovery as well. Do we do everything that we can do to prepare ourselves every day for the journey? You know, do we let's say do we read a book? Do we meditate? Do we exercise? Do we eat healthy? You know, because a lot of time with recovery, that's a vast factors that we have to address. You know, it ain't just a single thing to say, no, I'm gonna pick down drugs. I'm not gonna use alcohol. It's a whole host of things that we can do to better ourselves. That sound right? That sound about right? Okay.
Yeah,
I'm just
because I noticed when I stopped smoking,
yeah.
I'll start eating every morning. I
Yeah.
drink my orange juice every morning. So
Yeah.
exercise, I walk my dogs, I ride my bike 24/7. So you know what I'm saying? So it's like
yeah. Keep yourself occupied with healthy behaviors.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. And that's what we try to encourage the audience, those who may be watching and those who may be listening later on. Please do something that would, when you're feeling uncomfortable with your emotions and that things that may trigger you to respond in a way that you normally would respond, as far as picking up and using, counteract that with some positive factors. You know, like Wilson said, you know, he walk his dog, he eat, you know, once he stopped smoking, you know, he eat more often, he drink his orange juice, you know, he buy his motorcycles, his bikes, and all that good stuff. So we're gonna go on to number 2. It says, as you become aware of the feelings, allow them to be present without judgment or self-criticism. Acknowledge the sensation and emotions with neutrality or even self-compassion. Remember, there is no morality to emotions. Feelings are not bad or good. It's only in what we do because of the feelings that can get us into trouble. Awareness without judgment is the name of the game. So don't feel bad because we're having these feelings, you know, because that's only natural that we're gonna respond or feel some type of way to a given situation. Like the article says, be aware of them, right? But also don't be afraid to recognize them as only as feeling. Don't get down. In other words, don't get down on ourselves. You know what I mean? A lot of times you know, like, man, you know, there's such and such person, man, you know, tick me off, man. You know what I'm saying? And normally I don't let people take me out of my peace or out of my comfort zone. You know, now I mess around and got into an argument with this person, you know, and so it's basically saying don't be so hard on yourself. If you do get out of your comfort zone, sometimes we have to address situations, whether it be but we want to do it in a constructive manner. That's what I'm trying to say. We want to do it in a constructive manner, whereas sometimes, okay, people gonna take us off. We're gonna get out of our comfort zone. We only human. Don't be down and say, oh man, I thought I
react.
quick
to react.
Yeah, and don't be down on yourself and say, oh man, I thought I had that area in my life, I want to say lick, but successfully I beat that aspect of my life, whereas I overcame that, and ain't nobody could take me off my square, or anybody could rub me the wrong way, and then I respond. But sometimes people will rub you the wrong way, and you may say something that you may regret, but don't build upon it and say, you know what, how could I handle that situation much better the next time. Right? Okay. Number 3, validate your emotions. As you become aware of the feelings, affirm its presence and give yourself permission to have the feeling. Say to yourself, I am feeling sad, angry, frustrated, etc. Allow the feelings to be there, again, without judgment. Acknowledging and validating the feelings allows what is already there to come into conscious awareness. And the last one talks about be present with the emotion. This means you let yourself feel the sensation it brings to your body. You let yourself experience the sadness or anger or whatever feeling is there. Options for allowing this to happen include journaling, drawing, making a collage, listening to or playing music, and sharing the feelings with someone with an understanding ear. Give yourself the time and space you need to experience the feeling. It's only natural. Allow our feelings to move from our unconscious to our conscious awareness is essential for healing, and act as an empowering agent of change. Our quest to avoid feeling is seen in unending busyness, workaholism, substance addiction, sex addiction, gambling, always being in motion, eating, or excessive focus on others, to name just a few. As we slow down, allowing ourselves to discover our true and deeper feelings, we can find paths that lead to resolution, forgiveness, and freedom. All right? And so, word to the wise, a lot of times we shouldn't be in a rush to ignore how we're feeling and say, it's just a feeling. Yeah, it's just a feeling. However, we must call it out for what it really is. That it's a feeling of an emotion that we all go through emotions every single day. We all go through some type of emotion. So don't try to stay busy, try to ignore it. Don't become a workaholic. Don't pick up drugs. Don't start gambling. Don't be, in motion. So always address it. If you can talk to somebody, say, this is how I'm feeling today. How you feeling today? What's supposed
I'm cool, bro.
You cool?
Yeah, I can't ask for nothing else. I'm good. I ate.
Yeah.
I got everything done I'm supposed to.
All right.
Chill.
So you have a good day.
Yeah.
That's good. You know what I mean? So it's always to be able to share, how we feeling and communicate that, with one another. So that's it for us. Our time is done. Once again, I'm out of here. My name is Craig. And likewise, it's always been fun to sit here and go over some stuff, not only just about sobriety, detox, or treatment, but it's also good to talk about our feeling. For that, take care. Have a blessed day.